There comes a time in every life where you must learn the power of your own company. Too many people are waiting on others to validate their worth, to confirm their beauty, to applaud their progress, and to celebrate their victories. Real growth begins when you stop depending on external applause and learn to clap for yourself. Happiness is not a gift that somebody delivers at your doorstep. It is a well you must draw from within your soul. If your joy is tied to people, then when people leave, your joy will leave with them. If your peace is connected to circumstances, then the moment circumstances shift, your peace will collapse. When you learn to be happy alone, you build a foundation that no storm can wash away. Sometimes God will isolate you to elevate you. The solitude that feels uncomfortable is often the very soil where strength, creativity, and destiny are planted. It is in those moments of stillness that you discover who you really are, not who people say you are, not who the world expects you to be, but the authentic version of you. Being happy alone is not loneliness, it is strength. It is realizing that your joy doesn't expire when someone walks out the door. It is standing tall even when no one is there to cheer you on. It is celebrating your victories, even if the room is empty. When you learn to be happy alone, you step into a freedom that can never be taken away. So today, choose yourself. Learn to love your own voice. Learn to celebrate your own progress. Learn to find peace in your own presence. Because if you can be happy alone, then when the right people come, you won't cling to them out of desperation. You will welcome them from a place of wholeness. And that, my friend, is true power. There is a season in life where you must wake up and realize that you cannot keep waiting for people to tell you who you are. You cannot keep standing at the door of other people's opinions, begging for an invitation into their approval. Too many lives are wasted trying to earn applause from people who are too distracted to clap, too broken to affirm, or too envious to celebrate you. The truth is this: if you live for their validation, you will die from their rejection. Validation is a dangerous addiction. It tastes sweet when you get it, but the moment it disappears, it leaves you starving for more. Some people spend their whole lives scrolling through comments, chasing likes, adjusting their image, and reshaping themselves into something that pleases the crowd, all while starving their true identity. But the crowd is fickle. The same people who praise you today can turn their backs on you tomorrow. The same mouths that cheer your name can whisper your downfall. That is why your life must never be anchored in their applause. You must learn the discipline of self-validation. You must learn to look in the mirror and speak over yourself. You must learn to tell yourself that you are enough, even if no one else says it. Because the truth is, the world is not responsible for your joy. The world is not obligated to hand you worth. Your value does not decrease because people fail to see it. You were valuable before they knew your name, and you will still be valuable if they forget it tomorrow. Some of you are exhausted because you keep bending over backward, trying to prove yourself to people who will never be satisfied. No matter how much you give, they will demand more. No matter how much you shine, they will find shadows to criticize. And the danger is this: if you live for their voices, you will end up silencing your own. If you constantly wait for them to approve, you will delay your destiny, waiting on permission that God never required you to ask for. Your self-worth must not be built on fragile foundations. If your confidence is tied to people, it will always be unstable. But when your validation comes from within, when you learn to affirm yourself, when you understand that your worth is already sealed, you walk with a different kind of strength. People can reject you, but you will not collapse. People can overlook you, but you will not disappear. People can criticize, but you will not stop, because your source is no longer them. Your source is you. Ultimately, your source is God, who designed you with purpose. Even diamonds are valuable long before they are polished. They are valuable in the dirt, in the rough, before anyone places them in a showcase. And so are you. You were valuable before recognition, before promotion, before applause, before acknowledgement. Just because people do not recognize your brilliance does not mean it isn't there. Diamond does not stop being a diamond because someone calls it a rock. Its nature is unchanged, and so is yours. The truth is, Sometimes people withhold validation because they see your greatness and fear that if they affirm you, you will rise beyond them. They will minimize you because you are small, but because they are intimidated by your potential. Do not let their fear shrink your light. Do not let their silence make you doubt your song. Do not let their indifference make you question your calling. Self-validation is not arrogance, it is awareness. It is knowing who you are without waiting for someone to co-sign it. It is standing tall even when the room is empty. It is applauding your own progress even if no one else notices. It is believing in your own growth even if nobody compliments it, because sometimes the only "well done" you will hear is the one you give yourself. And that is enough. You must learn to celebrate small victories in secret. You must learn to clap for yourself when you finish a goal no one else knows about. You must learn to look back at how far you've come and say, "I am proud of me." Too often, we wait for others to notice progress. Growth is not always visible to the outside world. Sometimes the most powerful breakthroughs happen quietly in the privacy of your own struggle. But if you keep waiting on others to notice, you will miss the joy of your own evolution. There is freedom in self-validation, because once you understand your own worth, rejection doesn't break you anymore. Once you know your own value, neglect doesn't crush you anymore. Once you love your own journey, comparison doesn't distract you anymore. You stop measuring yourself against timelines, against titles, against other people's highlight reels. You understand that your life is not a competition. It is a calling. No one else's approval can validate what has already been stamped by divine authority. Yes, people may cheer you, but that cheer cannot define you. People may criticize you, but that criticism cannot confine you. People may ignore you, but their silence cannot erase you. Because your worth is not borrowed, it is owned. It is inherent. It is permanent. I dare you to stop waiting on validation. Stop waiting on them to call your name before you take the stage. Stop waiting on them to clap before you dance. Stop waiting on them to notice before you shine. Some doors will never open until you walk up to them in confidence. Some opportunities will never come until you dare to believe you are worthy of them. Some dreams will never manifest until you stop asking for permission to pursue them. You must silence the voices that say, "Who do you think you are?" and answer boldly, "I am enough, I am capable, I am chosen, I am worthy." You must train your soul to echo truth louder than fear, louder than doubt, louder than criticism. Because if you do not validate yourself, you will live in the prison of waiting for others to validate you, and some of them never will. So today, stand tall, celebrate yourself, speak life over yourself, be your own biggest encourager. Because when you learn to validate yourself, you will no longer be controlled by rejection. You will no longer be manipulated by applause, and you will no longer be paralyzed by silence. You will walk in strength, unshaken, unstoppable, and free. There is a joy that cannot be purchased, cannot be borrowed, and cannot be taken away. It is not tied to the applause of men. It is not anchored to the rise and fall of circumstances, and it is not dictated by what happens outside of you. This joy is planted deep within, well that never runs dry. And until you learn to draw from that inner well, you will always be thirsty for satisfaction that the world cannot truly give. Too many people live on borrowed happiness. They live on temporary highs, fleeting affirmations, and conditional love. The paycheck makes them smile. When the money runs out, the smile disappears. The relationship makes them glow. But when the person leaves, the glow fades. The promotion lifts them up. The next disappointment drags them back down. That is not joy. That is a roller coaster ride of emotions controlled by what surrounds you. Real joy is not fragile like that. Real joy comes from within. When you discover this truth, you stop chasing happiness in places that can never sustain you. You stop waiting for people to complete you because you realize you are already whole. You stop depending on circumstances to determine your mood because you recognize that true joy is not the absence of problems, it is the presence of peace. Problems can rage, storms can rise, people can change. When you carry joy within, you remain unshaken. Joy is not an accident, it is a choice. It is a decision to say, no matter what happens around me, I will not let it rob me of what's inside me. It is not denial of reality, it is mastery over it. It is the ability to face hardship without losing hope, walk through valleys without losing vision, to endure pain without surrendering purpose. This kind of joy cannot be faked, and it cannot be stolen. It is yours. Think about the seasons of life. There will be times when everything aligns perfectly, when doors open, opportunities abound. People celebrate you. Those are good days. But there will also be seasons when the phone is silent, the doors are closed, and the crowd is gone. If your joy is external, you will collapse in those moments. But if your joy is internal, you will rise, because what is within you sustains you and what is around you fails you. Some people spend years chasing happiness through possessions. They think the next car, the next house, the next outfit, or the next gadget will finally fill the emptiness. But the thrill fades, the shine wears off, the new becomes old. The heart is left craving again. Joy cannot be bought. It cannot be packaged or manufactured. It is born inside the soul. It is cultivated in gratitude, watered in peace, and strengthened in stillness. Others chase happiness through people, clinging desperately to relationships that drain them, begging for attention, and settling for love that is conditional. But if your joy is tied to people, then every goodbye becomes a tragedy. Every rejection becomes devastation. You must love people, yes, but never surrender your joy into their hands. Because people are human, fragile, fickle, flawed. If your joy comes from within, you can love people freely without fear of losing yourself. There is a strength that rises in you when you understand this. You begin to live differently. You begin to breathe differently. You begin to walk into rooms with an aura that does not beg for approval because you already carry fullness. People sense it. They wonder why you are calm when everything is falling apart. They wonder why you are hopeful when the odds are stacked against you. They wonder why you keep smiling when there is no visible reason. The reason is simple. Your joy does not come from the outside. It flows from the inside. Here's the beauty. Inner joy is unshakable. External things can be stolen. Money can be lost. Friends can betray. Opportunities can dry up. Joy within cannot be taken unless you hand it over. No storm is strong enough to uproot it. No critic loud enough to drown it. No failure deep enough to bury it. Once you learn to guard your inner joy, you become untouchable in spirit. Life may bruise you, but it cannot break you. Joy is also contagious. When you walk in it, you carry light into dark places. You shift atmospheres simply by showing up whole. People who are bound by stress, fear, and bitterness will be drawn to the peace that radiates from you. And that is because joy is not just a feeling. It is an energy, a strength, a testimony. It says, I have been through storms, but I still stand. I have walked through fire, but I still glow. I have faced loss. I still rise. You must learn to cultivate this joy. It requires stillness. It requires reflection. It requires gratitude. Gratitude is the key that unlocks joy within. Because when you stop focusing on what you lack and start acknowledging what you have, joy begins to overflow. Gratitude turns ordinary days into celebrations. Gratitude takes small victories and turns them into reasons to dance. Gratitude transforms perspective. Perspective fuels joy. Some of you are waiting for the big moment to feel joy. You're waiting for the perfect relationship, the big promotion, the dream house, the recognition. But life is not about waiting for big moments. It is about finding joy in small ones. It is about savoring laughter with a friend, embracing the peace of a quiet morning, cherishing progress that no one else sees, and smiling at the fact that you made it through battles that once tried to break you. When you find joy in the small, you are never empty. Stop looking outside for what can only be found inside. Stop chasing people. Stop chasing possessions. Stop chasing perfection. Sit still for a moment and realize you already carry what you are seeking. The well is within you. The river is within you. The treasure is within you. All you must do is draw from it. True joy is not about everything being right in life. True joy is about being right within yourself. You align your heart with peace when you ground your mind in gratitude, when you root your soul in love. Joy becomes inevitable. It flows naturally, steadily, abundantly. It no longer depends on what you have, but on who you are. So today, choose joy. Not the fleeting happiness the world offers, the unshakable joy that comes from within. Guard it, nurture it, protect it. Because when you walk in that kind of joy, nothing outside of you will ever have the power to destroy what is inside of you. And that is the secret to living free, whole, and unbreakable. There are seasons in life that feel lonely. Seasons where the phone doesn't ring, the crowd doesn't cheer. People you thought would stand beside you seem to disappear. It feels like rejection. It feels like abandonment. It feels like punishment. But what if I told you that your isolation is not punishment? It is preparation. What if the silence around you is not a sign of loss, but a sign that you are being shaped for something greater than where you are right now? Greatness is not built in the spotlight. It is built in the shadows. Purpose is not forged in applause. It is forged in obscurity. Isolation is the workshop of destiny. It is where strength is developed, vision is sharpened, identity is clarified. You cannot become who you were created to be if you are always surrounded by noise. Sometimes the noise must be stripped away so you can finally hear the sound of your own soul. Look back over history. Every person who carried something significant had a season of solitude. Seasons where they were hidden before they were revealed. Seasons where they were processed before they were promoted. It is in isolation that you learn the lessons that the crowd cannot teach. It is in isolation that you discover endurance, resilience, and trust. And it is in isolation that you stop leaning on people and start leaning on God, on faith, on the still small voice that whispers destiny into your spirit. Isolation feels uncomfortable because it strips away the distractions we've been leaning on. We are used to finding comfort in people, in routine, in familiar places. But when those are removed, we are left face to face with ourselves. And that is where transformation begins, because you cannot grow if you are constantly surrounded by things that keep you the same. Isolation forces you to confront who you are not, and who you must become. Think about the seed. Before it becomes a tree, it must be buried in the dark soil. No one applauds the seed in the ground. No one sees the struggle beneath the dirt. It looks like nothing is happening. Underground, roots are growing. Foundations are being established. Strength is being developed. And in time, hidden seed breaks through the soil and produces fruit. That is what isolation is. It is your burial place, but it is not your grave. It is the soil where your roots grow deep so that when your time of fruitfulness comes, you will be unshakable. Some of you are frustrated because you feel overlooked. You feel invisible. You feel like no one sees the effort. No one hears your voice. No one notices your progress. But being hidden is not the same as being forgotten. Sometimes you are hidden because you are not yet ready to be revealed. Sometimes you are hidden because the world is not yet ready to receive you. And if you rush the process, you will step into a place you are not prepared to handle. Isolation is not rejection, it is protection. You see, when you are isolated, distractions are removed, but so are dangers, the opinions of others, the jealousy of peers, the influence of the wrong voices. All of these can derail destiny if you are exposed too soon. But in isolation, you are shielded. You are strengthened privately so that when you step out publicly, nothing can break you. The silence is not empty, it is sacred. The stillness is not wasted, it is working. This is the season where character is built. You learn patience when no one is rushing you. You learn discipline when no one is watching you. You learn faith when no one is affirming you. You learn to trust yourself and the vision within you when there is no external proof that it will come to pass. If you can endure isolation, you will be unstoppable in elevation. Most people run from isolation. They confuse it with loneliness, and they despise the very environment designed to prepare them. They fill their lives with noise to drown out the quiet, surround themselves with people just to avoid solitude. But hear me, if you cannot be alone, you cannot be whole. And if you cannot be whole, you cannot carry the weight of destiny. Isolation is where you learn to find joy in your own company, strength in your own silence, courage in your own presence. Do not despise the hidden years. Do not curse the silent seasons. Do not rush out of the place of preparation. Because what feels like delay is actually development. What feels like rejection is actually refinement. What feels like emptiness is actually equipping. Every tear you cry in isolation waters the soil of your future. Every prayer whispered in solitude lays the foundation for your tomorrow. Every lesson learned in silence becomes the wisdom that carries you forward. One day, the season will shift. One day, the door will open. One day, the opportunity will arrive. And when it does, you will realize why the isolation was necessary. You will see that without it, you would not have had the maturity to manage the blessing. Without it, you would not have had the resilience to withstand the storm. Without it, you would not have had the identity to resist the pressure of people's opinions. Isolation built in you what applause never could. This is not the end. This is the beginning. This is not punishment. This is preparation. This is not abandonment. This is alignment. You are being shaped in silence for something that will be revealed in sound. You are being hidden in obscurity for a purpose that will one day shine in visibility. You are being processed privately so that when you are presented publicly, you will not break under the weight of destiny. Embrace your isolation, sit with it, learn from it, grow in it. Because when the season shifts, you will not just step into opportunity, you will step into it ready. And that readiness is what separates those who collapse under blessing from those who carry it well. Isolation is preparation, and if you endure it with faith, with patience, and with openness, you will emerge not bitter but better, not broken but built, not empty but equipped. And when the world finally sees you, they will marvel at the strength you carry. But you will know it was birthed in the hidden place, in the silent season, in the sacred soil of isolation. There comes a moment when you must learn that happiness does not always require company. We are conditioned to believe that joy must be tied to others. Peace must be found in togetherness, and that fulfillment can only be discovered in connection. While relationships are important and community is a gift, there is a deeper truth that many people overlook. You must first learn to be happy alone. This is not about rejecting people. This is not about cutting off love. This is about understanding that true happiness must never be dependent on someone else's presence. If your smile only exists when someone else walks into the room, then your joy is fragile. If your peace only exists when someone else validates it, your peace is temporary. But when you learn to be happy alone, you carry joy with you no matter who comes or who goes. Happiness alone is not loneliness. Loneliness is the emptiness that cries out for company. Happiness alone is the fullness that stands strong without it. Loneliness says, I am incomplete until someone arrives. Happiness alone says, I am whole even when no one else is here. It is not arrogance, it is independence. It is not pride, it is freedom. It is the realization that the gift of your own presence is enough. Think about how much energy people waste chasing companionship just to avoid silence. They rush into relationships not because they are ready to love, because they are afraid to be alone. They surround themselves with noise, with friends, with activities, not because these things are purposeful, because they are terrified of facing themselves. But the truth is, you can never be whole with others until you are whole with yourself. If you cannot sit in your own silence without despair, you will always look for others to rescue you from your own emptiness. Learning to be happy alone means discovering the richness of your own company. It means taking yourself out without shame. It means celebrating your own victories without waiting for applause. It means enjoying a quiet evening without feeling the need to fill the room with noise. It means finding laughter in your own thoughts, peace in your own stillness, strength in your own presence. Because when you love yourself enough to enjoy your own company, you are no longer controlled by the fear of being left. One of the greatest freedoms in life is knowing that you do not need anyone else to create your joy. That does not mean you reject love, but it means you are not a prisoner to it. It means that when people come, they add to your joy, not become the source of it. And when people leave, take nothing away because you were already full before they arrived. That is the power of happiness alone. It makes you unshakable. There will be seasons when people misunderstand your solitude. They will call you isolated, detached, or strange. They will not understand why you are not chasing every crowd, why you are not begging for company, why you are not desperate to belong. You must not allow their misunderstanding to shake your confidence. Happiness alone is not something the world always celebrates because the world is addicted to the validation. But you know better. You know that the secret to freedom is to be at peace within yourself. Happiness alone is also a form of strength. Because when you learn to be content in your own company, you are harder to manipulate. No one can trap you with the fear of being left. No one can control you by dangling approval. No one can threaten you with absence. Because you have already learned the art of standing alone. You know how to build your own joy. You know how to hold your own peace. You know how to celebrate your own progress. That makes you dangerous in the best way. Dangerous to fear, dangerous to insecurity, dangerous to dependency. Happiness alone is not about isolation forever. It is about preparation. It is about becoming whole so that when you connect with others, you connect from a place of abundance, not desperation. It means you are not clinging to people to fill your emptiness. You are sharing your fullness with them. That shift changes everything because when you are full, your relationships are healthier. You are not drained by giving. You are not bitter when receiving is delayed. You love freely because you are not loving out of need. You are loving out of overflow. When you learn happiness alone, you learn balance. You learn that silence can be healing. You learn that stillness can be powerful. You learn that solitude can be refreshing. You stop running from quiet moments and instead you savor them. You stop fearing empty rooms and instead you transform them. You stop longing for constant company and instead you welcome it when it comes but are not broken when it leaves. Some of the most profound growth you will ever experience will happen when you are alone. It is when distractions are stripped away that you begin to hear your inner voice. It is when the noise is silenced that creativity begins to flow. It is when the crowd disappears that clarity begins to emerge. Do not despise these moments. Do not rush out of them. Do not assume that being alone means being unloved. Sometimes it means being positioned for revelation, discovery, and renewal. And when you master happiness alone, life changes. You walk with a different confidence. You carry a different peace. You radiate a different kind of joy because you are no longer living for who comes and who goes. You are no longer chasing validation, approval, or companionship as a means to survive. You are already whole. You are already complete. You are already happy, whether the room is full or empty. This is where true freedom lives. It is not in the ability to gather crowds, but in the ability to walk confidently when no one is watching. It is not in the noise of company, in the serenity of silence. It is not in the applause of others, but in the satisfaction of your own soul. Happiness alone is the strength to say, I am enough even by myself. I am whole even without them. I am happy because my happiness comes from within me, not from around me. Oh, so today, embrace it, sit in it, discover it. Let happiness alone become your strength, your sanctuary, your source of freedom. Because when you can be happy alone, you will never again be enslaved by the fear of being left. You will never again be desperate for temporary company. You will never again confuse solitude with emptiness. You will know the truth that you are whole, that you are strong, and that you are more than enough. There is a truth that many people overlook. Brokenness attracts brokenness, but wholeness attracts wholeness. If you walk into a relationship carrying emptiness, you will search for someone else to fill the void, and when they cannot, you will resent them. If you enter with insecurity, you will demand constant reassurance. When they fail to provide it, you will crumble. If you come in fragmented, you will cling, you will grasp, you will suffocate because you are looking for someone else to do the work that only you can do for yourself. But when you walk into relationships whole, something changes. You are no longer begging, you are no longer grasping, you are no longer desperate. You are full, and you are sharing that fullness. And in that space, the relationships you attract are healthier, stronger, and more lasting. Too many people think love is about finding someone to complete them. That is the myth we are taught in stories, in movies, in culture. You complete me, they say. But the truth is, if you are waiting for another person to complete you, you will never be complete because people are not designed to be your missing half. They are designed to be your complement. You are supposed to walk into a relationship whole, already full, already rooted, already grounded. Then and only then can two people meet as equals and build something lasting. Wholeness means you know who you are. It means you know your worth, your values, your identity. It means you are not waiting on someone else to tell you that you are enough. It means you can stand alone. And because you can stand alone, you are capable of standing with someone else. When two whole people meet, the relationship is not built on desperation. It is built on overflow. You are not taking from each other. You are giving to each other. You are not draining one another. You are strengthening one another. Wholeness does not come easily. Many of us have been through heartbreak, rejection, betrayal. Many of us carry wounds from childhood, disappointments from life, scares from mistakes. And often, instead of healing those wounds, we rush into relationships hoping that another person's love will bandage them. But love from others cannot heal wounds that only wholeness can fix. Healing must happen within you before love can flow properly through you. This is why so many relationships collapse under pressure, because they were built on broken foundations. Two people, each carrying emptiness, come together not to share fullness, but to demand filling. And when the other cannot fill the void, frustration rises, resentment grows, bitterness settles. But when you are whole, you do not come into relationships to demand. You come to give. And in giving, you attract someone else who is also ready to give. Together, you build not from emptiness, but from abundance. Wholeness changes the way you see love. You no longer mistake attention for affection. You no longer confuse control for care. You no longer accept crumbs and call it a feast. Because when you are whole, your standards are higher, not out of arrogance, but out of awareness. You know your worth, and so you refuse to settle for less than what is healthy. And because you are healthy, you naturally draw healthy people. Brokenness may call to brokenness, but wholeness calls to wholeness. This is why the work of wholeness is so important. You cannot skip it. You cannot rush past it. You cannot expect others to carry it for you. Wholeness means sitting with yourself, facing your flaws, healing your wounds, forgiving your past, and embracing your growth. It means refusing to let bitterness define you, refusing to let insecurity bind you, refusing to let failure label you. It means doing the hard work of becoming whole so that when love comes, you are ready for it. Wholeness does not mean perfection. No one is perfect. Wholeness means healed enough to love without bleeding on the people who didn't cut you. It means secure enough to trust without constant fear. It means grounded enough to give without losing yourself. It means strong enough to stand even if the other person stumbles. Wholeness is not the absence of scars. It is the presence of healing. When you are whole, you can enjoy relationships without idolizing them. You can appreciate love without depending on it to breathe. You can cherish companionship without fearing its loss, because your life does not begin or end with another person. It is enriched by them, defined by them, and that balance is what makes relationships thrive. Because nothing kills love faster than desperation. Nothing strengthens love more than freedom, the freedom to choose, the freedom to give, the freedom to grow. Relationships built on wholeness are different. They are not games of power or control. They are not competitions for attention. They are not cycles of demand and disappointment. They are partnerships. They are two people walking side by side, lifting one another, supporting one another, complementing one another. They are rooted not in fear, but in faith, not in emptiness, but in fullness, not in desperation, but in strength. This is why your first responsibility is to yourself. Before you chase love, chase wholeness. Before you seek another, seek healing. Before you look outward, look inward. Because the truth is, the quality of your relationships will never rise higher than the quality of your relationship with yourself. If you do not love you, how can you love them? If you do not trust you, how can you trust them? If you are not whole within, you will always place on others a weight they were never designed to carry. When you stop chasing love out of desperation and start pursuing wholeness, love often finds you. Because wholeness is attractive. Wholeness radiates confidence. Wholeness shines with peace. Wholeness carries a magnetic strength that draws healthy people into your orbit. You don't have to beg for it. You don't have to force it. You don't have to chase it. When you are whole, you attract what you are. So do not despise the season of becoming whole. Do not see it as wasted time. Do not rush past it just to say you are with someone. Invest in yourself. Heal yourself. Discover yourself, because every ounce of work you put into becoming whole will pay off in the health of the relationships you build. And when the right person comes, you will not just be ready, you will be radiant. Wholeness attracts healthy relationships. And once you live from wholeness, you will never again settle for brokenness disguised as love. You will never again confuse chaos for passion. You will never again accept toxicity as normal, because wholeness will open your eyes, strengthen your heart, and protect your soul. It will teach you that you deserve more. Because you know you deserve more, you will receive more. So today, choose the journey of wholeness, not because love is not valuable, because love is too valuable to be built on broken ground. Make the choice to heal, to grow, to embrace your scars and transform them into strength. Because when you are whole, you will not just attract love, you will attract love that is healthy, love that is strong, love that is lasting. And that is the kind of love worth waiting for.